Welcome back to the Victory Podcast. I'm your host, Steve McGrath, and this week we're joined by Najeh Davenport. Najeh was a member of the 2001 Miami Hurricanes football team, one of the best college football teams ever put together. He then had a 7-year career in the NFL with the Packers, the Steelers, and then with Indy. Najeh talked about all that. The documentary he put together, The U Reloaded, which you can definitely find clips on YouTube. But before we get to that conversation, I need to remind you all that we are brought to you by Team Builder. Team Builder provides strength and conditioning software to more than 500 high school football programs nationwide, as well as the NFL. So whether you write your own programs, have a full-time strength coach, or need training programs, Team Builder can make your weight room more efficient, more accurate, and smarter when it comes to measuring your team's progress. So right now, Team Builder is offering a 10-week free speed, offense, tempo training program when you start a 14-day free trial at teambuilder.com and use the promo code VICTORY. So without any further ado, here's our conversation with Najeh Davenport. Najeh, thanks so much for taking the time, man. How are you doing?
I'm chilling, man. I'm good. So,
I'm doing great, man. It's always a great time anytime I have the opportunity to talk to any of the former guys about their playing days. And certainly, when you think about the University of Miami, one of the greatest teams ever put together, that 01 team, you're a part of that. And, that's kind of really where I wanted to begin, because that is, everyone knows that team. And you didn't just play there. From what I saw, you played high school football in Miami. So can you bring us back to those days when you're a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid? Did you always want to play football in college? Was it only Miami? Did you think of any place else to play?
I think my upbringing was a little different. For that, I'm a single mom. My mom was a school teacher, so it was, for the life of me, I was just going. I was going to be a school teacher. My mom was a school teacher. That's what I was going to be. I didn't really play organized football like Part 1 of the league. I tried one year, but I was always bigger, and down here it was weight class. So it was either you gonna play 100 pounds, and you can be like 11, 12. Underneath the 100, you can play 100. But if you was like 8, 9, and you like 115, 120, you got to play like in 115, 120 pounds. So that didn't go too well that first year. They had me sitting in a truck with a plastic bag on it, either trying to lose weight or water weight before weigh-ins and stuff like that. So I did that for like a year. And after that, I was playing street ball. I always played street ball with like bigger kids and older kids. And so, I mean, that's where I kind of like learned how to play. And then even when I got to high school, like my freshman year, I probably was like 6'2", maybe 210. And
It's pretty big.
yeah. And then you don't really realize how big you are until people you big, you big, you big. But I wasn't even going to play football in high school because I was under the impression that you had to be like a certain weight. I had been told this for like the last 4 or 5 years, you know what I mean? So it just, I had guys that we played football in high school that wasn't going to college, and they just played like pickup games. We used to call them Peace in the Hood games. And I just, like the first part of my freshman year, I didn't go out for the football team because I was playing, Peace in the Hood games on Saturday and Sundays. And he's a police officer now, one of my good friends, he kind of drugged me to come play JV football with him. So I was telling him, yo, it's a weight limit, He was like, he told me I was stupid. You know what I mean? Because I thought it was a weight limit on JV. So then I came out and I played JV. They put me at like running back. They just threw me at running back, gave me 34. I was always fast. They gave me 34, and I played like 4 or 5 games in JV, and then they moved me to varsity. And from varsity, they put me at running back and tight end. So, that's when I realized that I really couldn't catch. Like my freshman year in high school, like even though all the street ball I played, I was always catching passes and we was running and stuff like that. It was tough, but in a live game, I realized I couldn't catch. We was playing Jackson my freshman year. I had like number 19, and like a lot of cats around my neighborhood and around they noticed if they played. Uh, they say we ran the same play, no lie, like 3 series straight. Tight end pop, tight end pop, tight end. It was. I kid you not. It was 4 and out. And I think the ball hit me in my hand maybe 8 times. Like it literally hit me in my hand and I dropped it. And then one time it was like overthrown. And the last one I caught, I went 60 yards for. So that was kind of like that's when I realized that I'm not like a tight end. And they moved back to tailback, and then
they saw what they needed.
Yeah, they moved back to tailback. We had a big game that year. You remember Nate Webster?
Yeah.
All right, so Nate played for the West, and I played for Central. So and back then everybody was like scared of the West. So like our boys was big, you know what I mean? Like I was small compared to like our offensive linemen, like 6'5", 6'6", and everybody was scared of the West. But like I kind of grew up on that side of the track, you know what I mean? So I knew a lot of those guys, and when they started talking noise, it was like, I just saw you yesterday, man. You ain't all that. You have your church clothes, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I had a pretty good game against them, and that's kind of how it went. It went down. I mean, it kind of went uphill from there.
Yeah. So a couple of things in there, right? I mean, that's sort of how you figure out that, maybe catching it for you, but when the ball's in your hand, you can make some noise. So that's how running back comes to be. And, even what you said about those pickup games, that's actually something that Pierre Woods talked to us a lot about. Do you think that, because not that it's non-contact, but I mean, without pads, right? People aren't using their heads to tackle. Do you think that that's actually a pretty good way to get used to football? Because the tackling part, you can kind of integrate a little bit later. You just get used to evading the contact and chasing guys.
That's a double-edged sword because the pickup games was a little bit of contact, but like you said, we weren't running there and using our head to like try to knock somebody out. But you learn better how to throw that shoulder in there and aiming for it. So we played on sidewalk, on the street and field, stuff like that. And I remember was one dude getting hit pretty hard to the side of a car, but other than that, I can't really remember like a big accident or anything like that.
Yeah.
But nowadays they got like flag football, and I think the flag football part is working in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to I think Tory Cox, and he had his sons playing like flag or whatever, and I want my son to play flag. But when it's football, so you're gonna have to learn how to make contact. I read them learn how to make contact and then learn how to evade and be shifty later on. But I don't know, just personal experiences for me.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting take, particularly from a running back, someone that had to initiate a lot of contact when he was playing. Continuing along the lines of just being a young guy and figuring out where you wanted to play and everything, was there any consideration outside of the U, or was it that that was it? That's where it was not that it was right in your backyard, but it was close. I'm sure you knew a lot of the guys that were going there.
Yeah, like again, like football kind of came late to me. I wasn't a guy. I'm still not a guy that's gonna sit around and just watch football like every Sunday or whatever. Just got to watch the games. It was more of let me see where I can go. I remember my recruiting visit, and Coach Davis and Randy Shannon, they came to my house, and they was recruiting me. They told me they want to offer me a scholarship. They really wanted me to come, and I think my mom was more excited than I was at the time. She had started cooking and all that stuff. I guess her friends told her she needed to cook for the coaches or whatever, so she did all that. And I'm kind of looking like, man, like what is this? But she was more so excited than I was. But I remember Coach Davis asking me about Santana and would he think Santana be like a good fit? And I was like, yeah, you know, they don't throw the ball to him much, but he's fast. So we run the track. We ran track against each other. So he gave him the whole spiel about 13 scholarships, and we really selecting the cream of the crop, and we want to start in our backyard, and that whole spiel, and these 13 gonna be the guys that change Miami. Wow, it's coming back to me vividly now. He's like, these 13 players gonna be the guys that's gonna change Miami. And
He wasn't wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But once he started telling me that, is when I started, feeling like a part of something. Before then, it was just like I had a couple friends that played ball with me, and you probably don't remember this movie, The Program. You ever saw the movie?
I don't think I did.
It was what's his cat name? Epps. Omar Epps was in there. This dude that kind of like resembles Lawrence Taylor. You remember the linebacker played for the Raiders? He might have been on steroids, but Bo Jackson ran him over.
What, like Romanowski?
Romanowski. It was a linebacker like Romanowski in there. It was a black linebacker like Lawrence Taylor. It was Omar Epps was like a little scat back. Then they had like a little power back. Then it was just like college football. It was called The Program. And one of the things was, they taught you about, or they mentioned about paying players and getting this and getting that. So after I saw that, I was like, well, maybe, me and my 4 friends can go to this school or that school, to bring it home. So, long story short, one of my friends, he passed now. We went all the way out to New Mexico Aggies. And that was the year, I think Brian Urlacher was there. He was like a freshman. And we went there and we had fun in New Mexico. And then cause they would give me and him a scholarship. So I was like, okay. And they wanted us to commit right there, whatnot. And then he was telling me, nah, let's just wait. Cause he had to sign the paperwork too. He's like, nah, let's just wait. So we went back on home. And at that point, he decided that he was gonna go to Alabama State because a girl he went with in high school was going to Alabama State already. So that's what he wanted to do. So I wasn't going to New Mexico by myself. So I took a visit to, I wanted to see Chicago, so I went to Illinois. I didn't know they was that far apart. I mean, it just get worse from here, dog. I went up to Tallahassee, and I sat in the room with Bobby Bowden, and his conversation just turned me. Like the way he was talking to me, I didn't feel like it was a place for me. On my recruiting visit, it was Travis Minor, Davey Ford, and DeMontre Carter. I have no idea what happened to DeMontre Carter, but I saw Travis Minor a while ago, and Davey Ford a couple years ago. But during that era, Ward Dunn had just graduated, got drafted to the Bucks, and Rock Preston had just got kicked out. I don't know if it was for fighting or stealing tennis shoes or something, but he had just got kicked out. So they literally had no tailbacks, and whoever came in was going to be that guy. And I got in his office and I sat down and started talking to him, and he just rubbed me the wrong way. You know what I mean? So I got the hell up out of Tallahassee after that. Then Coach Shannon called me and he wanted me to, at this time, like, well, we want you to commit, we want you to come in and do this. And I was still, taking my trips or whatnot. And so my mom wanted me to visit the HBCU. And I wanted to go to New York. So when the dude said he was from Albany, I thought Albany, New York, and he had us, you know, we had to catch a bus. So my mom dropped me off like 5 o'clock in the morning our Pro Player Stadium to catch this bus. And I'm like, man, I've been flying the last 3 weeks. I don't think I want to catch a bus in New York, but I'm on the bus now. And we stopped in Fort Lauderdale, picked up some guys. Quinn Gray was one of them. And then we went to Tampa, picked up some people. And then when we stopped in Georgia, then that's when it got like weird, you know what I mean? Like we going to Georgia, and it was Albany State that we went to.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a long bus ride.
would have been a lot longer if you go into upstate New York.
Right. I mean, I wanted to go to New York, so for the sights there.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. So I mean, you vetted a lot of schools, and of course, you end up going to right in your backyard. But I mean, it doesn't seem like you did that in a hurry. It seems like you really took your time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of think I kind of wanted to go to Miami after I spoke to Butch, but it was just more so, well, let me go here and go there. Hawaii called, and they said for me I would have to commit for them to fly me out there. Don't worry about it.
Now,
it was just for me to travel around and see what I needed to see.
Yeah. You made an informed decision, which is huge. But one thing, you mentioned that, Butch Davis and Randy, but you didn't mention Larry Coker. And while you're at the University of Miami, Butch Davis leaves and the OC takes over to become the head coach. Now, of course, it's, Larry Coker's first year when you guys win the championship. But going back to those days, do you think that change, having Larry Coker become the head coach, was that what was needed for you guys to win a national title?
Definitely not. We would have won that if Coach Davis was there, regardless. That's when we sit down and talk about some of these things. It's like Coach Davis had the Coach Erickson class. And they were like the juniors and the seniors, and then he brought in, and we call them, like, our nicknames is 2G class, and that's EJ, Al Blaze, Damian Lewis, Nate Webster, Bubba Frank, those guys. So they freshmen now. Then the next year come around, the seniors left, now the juniors are the seniors, and you have our freshman class, the 13 was myself, Ed Reed, Reggie Wayne, Kenny Kelly, Dan Morgan, Santana Moss. So that 2G class and the Deuce 1 class, like, is against literally like the juniors and the seniors. And the juniors and the seniors they was on like I don't want to say a power trip, but they was like, we don't got to do that, this, that, and the third. And that was our perspective, like, let's get in here and grind. And then all it took for one guy to get on, and when EJ got on and started doing this thing, Dan was playing, then like, oh, we all can do this. So now they slowly started getting edged out. I think by the end of my freshman year, we may have had like 6 to 7 seniors playing in prominent positions. Other than that, it was all like young guys. You had Reggie, you had Tanner, you had EJ, Dan was on defense, Larry Myers, Joaquin, all these guys, like, prominent position was guys that was in my class. Our mentality was different. The way we worked was different. The way we gelled with each other was different. And I don't know if Butch came and gave everybody that same speech that he gave me, but he made you want to play for him. You know what I mean? He made you want to be great. He made you want to take a personal stake into the program. Not just to say, oh, it's the youth, but he wanted you to feel like you built this. And if you take pride in something like that, you go to links for it.
Very cool. Now, before we jump into your NFL days, I have to ask about that 1999 knee injury that you had. And I'm sure in a lot of ways it's a sore spot for you. Do you think at all about just everything surrounding that? I mean, it's such a great team. You still get drafted in the fourth round, considering that you came back from that and you're splitting time with all these talented running backs on the roster, whether it's Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee. Um, do you think at all, but and even like about how technology has changed, if that had happened today versus back then, would you have been better off? Or for you, is it just sort of water under the bridge?
I mean, it comes up anytime I talk to Clint. It comes up like it's just one of those things where if I didn't get hurt, and it's like if I didn't, I feel like if I didn't get hurt, and a lot of people feel like if I didn't get hurt, that year we probably won another national championship. There's also I was just starting to come into my own. EJ had just left. I had worked my way up from the depth chart. It was a funny story. I put this in the documentary that I shot. The year EJ left, he got drafted. So it's me and JJ. I don't think it was the first practice. JJ said his hamstrings was hurting, or he pulled a hamstring, or he did something. So the whole training camp is me, Clint, and Jared Payton, like going through reps, the whole 2 days. And they came to me and JJ and was like, whoever has the best scrimmage is going to be the starter. So they kind of put me in that, competition mode. And JJ, and I tell him to this day, he's like, JJ got a lot of talk game. JJ would talk his way into anything, man. He's a good dude, but he would talk his way into anything, and he knows when to compete, and he knows when just to back down. I wasn't there yet, you know what I mean? Like if you challenge me, I'm just going to accept the challenge regardless. So JJ in practice the whole training camp, and they told us about the best game gonna be the starter, blah blah blah. JJ come out there, and he was always known for stretching. JJ come out there and do his little stretch, and he was like, "Hey, big boy, come, let's go warm up." So after the second lap we took before the spring game, I'm dripping. I got on my damn pads and shit, and my bag. I got on my pads, and I'm dripping. We just got one more lap. So before the spring game, we ran 4 laps. That's a mile. All right. Then we came out, and then we had the game. I had the worst practice game ever, and JJ get in and he like lightning, bomb, 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 bomb. So at that point, they already told us whoever had the best game gonna be the starter, or whatever. Yeah, I even started it off. You know what I mean? And I had like 8 carries, like 20-some yards, odd yards, and that's how that happened. But JJ got me. He got me good, It's in I did the documentary I put out, like the U Reloaded. Have you saw it?
Getting ready for this, I saw at least the full second.
Yeah. Yeah. So and now I wrote about that, but that's how he got me. So when he started the game off and he did his thing, and I got in and I was doing my thing, and then it was life, bro. Sometimes it was hard to accept at first. It was like more why me, but it was life.
Yeah. Now, you do, like we had mentioned, get drafted. You go to Green Bay. How do you shift from being a young guy, you're used to, getting playing time and all this and all that. Now you're going to go to a place that's a little bit colder than Miami and Green Bay. But, you have Mike Sherman, Brett Favre, Amon Green. So maybe, a good positional guy that you can kind of work with and learn from. But how did you sort of switch gears in your mind to go from being a student athlete to now you're a professional? What was that whole transition like for you?
It was. I think that'll be really relevant in any other city other than Green Bay. When I came to Green Bay, you didn't feel like you had that freedom like that, like you was. I mean, for rookies, to me, you know what I mean. They was very very hand on. They rookies, And it wasn't like, okay, y'all go home and we'll see y'all in a week. You know what I mean? It was just like everything was structured. It was time sensitive. So we kind of kept with the same process. So that's the only. I mean, that was like a big help. It was. I guess it was more so them trying to teach you how to be professionals, but in a roundabout way. You know what I mean? So they kept it, structured. Everything was time sensitive. We had to be here 15 minutes early, X, Y, Z. We had two guys that was very beneficial to me playing was Sylvester Kroon, he was our running back coach, and Edgar Bennett. Edgar Bennett played for Florida State for a while, and he played for the Packers. Then he was working as a player personnel guy, and then my next year he was like a running back coach. So he kind of he helped me along the way a lot, and that was my and Bubba was there with me.
Yeah, yeah, a Miami guy right there, just 1 year, ahead of you.
Right. So that was. I mean, other than that, it was easy.
So, one thing that I noticed too is looking at that roster, Doug Peterson's a backup quarterback, a guy that goes on to become a Super Bowl winning coach. Did you notice anything about, now, of course, he's backing up Brett Favre. It's not like he's playing a lot, but did you notice anything about him, personality traits that you would have thought, hey, this guy might be a good coach? Do you think Brett Favre influenced him a lot? Do you have any sort of take on that at all?
I think Doug was always cool because when my first year, we would go together when he got in and whatnot, even the preseason games stuff like that. Doug was always like a cool, laid back dude. I never saw him get mad, like scream. Sometimes you think, well, damn, Doug just happy to have a job. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, he was always just laid back. He was helpful, sat back and played his role. But now he's a dude that's 100. You know what I mean? He say what he mean, type person.
Yeah. And I think anyone that watches the NFL can kind of see that. That's how he sort of carries himself when he's talking to the media. You were also with Aaron Rodgers the last year there. So I did want to just, see what it was like firsthand with that little changing of the guard. Brett's still there. Aaron comes in. How much does that sort of change the locker room? Because, of course, that year doesn't go very well. Was there anything funny about that, or were they both pretty professional?
I don't know. I think, and I love B to death, man, but I think he got like a little antsy because Aaron was like a first round draft pick. Even though it was late first round, he was first round draft pick. But B used to get like a little antsy, and he, I guess maybe because we wasn't winning. I know I got hurt in like the fifth game. Then we had Amon got hurt, so the running game wasn't there. We had a backup running back, Sam. I think Tony Fisher got hurt as well. Shit wasn't happening for him like it used to. So I guess he was being like a little antsy, a little frustrated, and I think that was the end of it. But Aaron can definitely be cocky with it. You know what I mean? So that don't help. That don't help either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that can always, rub the incumbent starter the wrong way, particularly when he's a pretty good one. So, did you find, though, getting to the NFL, did you have to change your running style to sort of go, accommodate the fact that you're with the best of the best, or were you just going to stick to the way that you always played? And, does scheme kind of come in there as well?
I think it was a little bit different for me because prior to if you look at my like film and you go back and look at some of my runs prior to me getting hurt in '99, I was like a really explosive back, and as I got hurt and I started transitioning to fullback, like everything kind of changed a little bit. You know what I mean? So a lot of people realize, well, he's just a fullback that converted to a tailback. But I was a tailback first, and then I wouldn't play fullback because they gave me the best talent on the field type situation. Uh, my first weekend pass in Green Bay, I played I was at fullback, and then Coach Slot said, "Well, you gonna be a tweener." So I was a tweener for like 2 days. That's when we played fullback and tailback. And then that next week I was just all tailback. So I think they and I felt a little bit more comfortable. I felt like I don't want to say it was my show, but I felt like it wasn't no backsliding in the room, and that definitely boosted my confidence. And I ran a little harder. I ran a little shiftier, and I tried to make things happen.
Yeah. So when you leave Green Bay at the end of the '05 season, what were your options out there? I mean, of course, we know that you go to Pittsburgh, and you go from one great head coach and quarterback tandem to another, just another great winning environment, good offense. But what were your thoughts as to where's the next step in my career?
All right, so let's take it back a step. This is something I think I want to talk about. So we had a Pittsburgh season that year. I fractured my ankle, the '05, or I guess the '05 season. I fractured my ankle. Then I bust my ass to get back. I come into camp at 242 pounds. That's the lightest I've been since my sophomore year in college.
Wow.
I had abs. I was running. The only thing is, like, I had been doing everything to lose weight. I haven't really been focused on like my cardio. So I had like a little poor cardio showing on the conditioning test. What have you? Came back, we started practicing. Now, practicing wise, I'm boom, boom, boom. I'm doing everything I need to do. I'm explosive. I'm getting back to rap form. And Mike is gone. Let's say that Mike got fired, and I don't know. I think he might be at Texas by this time. I'm not sure. But McCarthy's there, and I guess he didn't like the type of back I was, or I don't think he liked AG as well. But he chose to keep a dude named Noah Harrington and Sam Congado, but he left. He left. I think AG was the only other back, but me and Fish, I think got cut or got released. I'm not sure. Tony Fisher, but sure enough, I had a great training camp, and then I really didn't expect to get cut. Like, I was going on as usual. We were just talking about extending like my contract and all that stuff prior to Mike being fired. So like this came out of left field. Especially, I can see if I came in like at 275 or something. I came in at 242. Like, I jumped on the scale and I was happy that was 242. And to get cut, like, I had never been cut. Well, you know what I mean? Like, in all my football, I have never been like, yo, you're not good enough. And so I, like, the first day, I think I boo-hoo cried. I called my mama and I found out what I need to do to be a teacher now. You know what I mean? And I never forget. I had some friends that lived in Milwaukee, and I had like a duplex. I had a lot of furniture in there, and I told them, like, "Yo, man, everything got to go $200." So, like, TVs, couches, beds, whatever, just $200 for the item. You know what I mean? The big ticket items. And then, sure enough, they came down and they cleaned the whole house out. They took all that. And at this time, I still wasn't, picked up a sign, so I'm just ready to come home. And
Wow.
then my agent called me and told me that he told me Pittsburgh want to bring you out. So I never been cut, and I never been like picked up. So so what? So I drive there now. He's like, no, they're gonna fly you out. So how we get my car there? You're like, well, just wait for them to sign you, and then we'll worry about all that. So, like, again, I didn't know. So I went to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is like a beautiful city. I went to Pittsburgh, and I remember sitting down with BC, and he started talking to me about football. He talked to me about Miami. And he talked to me about, like, he said he was in the room with the combine when I was talking about team. stuff like that. All right, okay, cool. And then so we talked like about a little bit of football, but about life type for like about 20 minutes. And he shook my hand like, welcome to the Steelers. And, all right, coach. Man, I just expected you to be like a little bit more mean, you know what I mean? Like the jawline with that. Nah, I just get that's just for TV, whatever. Okay. So that's how I got started in Pittsburgh. And the only thing I didn't like about that, it was like I felt like I was ready to go. But it's just like I was in the system like 4 weeks before like I got a chance on offense. Like special teams is right away. But before I got a chance on offense, I was in there for like 4 weeks. And like my very first carry, my conditioning was horrible. I had like within a time frame of like 2 minutes maybe, it felt like I ran like 600 yards. But I covered a kick, then I did a punt return, then I did like the punt team. Right, the dude fumbled the ball. All right, so I'm going off the field. I get to the sideline, and then BC, Najeh, you in? I turn around, go back in, and hut. I got the ball. I hesitate for a second. I break through the line, and I don't know if it was Sammy Knight or Sam Madison. It was somebody that ran up on me, and I stiffed on them real bad. They played for Kansas City, and I stiffed on them real bad. And then I was just off to the races. And what's the dude name who played for the Vikings, but he had the steroid case? He was defensive end.
Oof.
I know you finished up with the Vikings, but he's tall kid, defensive end.
Jared Allen?
Jared, yeah. I think Jared Allen was on his PEDs at this point because I was already tired, and I had ran past Ty Law, ran past Sammy Madison, and all the secondary, chief secondary, and Jared Allen come out of nowhere, full stride, and I look back, I'm dead dog tired. I can see him in the little screen. I look back, and on my face you just see a smile like, man, fuck this, I'm tired. So as soon as he touched me, I just fall down, and it about like a 60-yard run maybe, and then I had to come back in like the next play. I got a couple tosses, whatever. Then the thing changed, quarter changed, back on the other end, and I get a touchdown. So that whole like 5 minute, 6 minute time frame, whatnot, it was just rough. And BC had even on my touchdown, it was one of those the challenge plays or whatnot. And he threw the flag and I got it. But he came to me and said, "Yeah, man, great job, blah blah blah. Yeah. We have to work on your win." And I wanted to say, "No, we had to work with these special teams, so we had to work on it." But no, that was like my first carry type real game experience in Pittsburgh. It kind of helped me move on. And that before that, I was a little bitter because I know what I could accomplish, and I was just I got cut. So.
Yeah, sure. And how many athletes have been fueled by a chip on their shoulder? I mean, that's one of the most, common things. It's, sometimes that has to happen for someone to dig deep and, find that next level. And, not that I want to move off of Pittsburgh so quickly, but, you do end your career in Indy. So yet again, for the third time, you're going to another place where there is a great coach in Tony Dungy, a great quarterback in Peyton Manning. So there's a lot of structure and stability there. But now you have to learn a new system. You didn't begin the year with Indy, right? You went from Pitt to, then you wrapped up the year with Indy. So, maybe not so much Indy specifically, but when you look back at your career, these three different stops, how much did you really have to learn these new playbooks and learn these new schemes? And how much do you think that actually, either helped you or hurt you as you try to each time find your groove and get better as an athlete?
I don't think it really made an issue with me. Coach Kroom, Sylvester Kroom, he was my running back coach. And when I think having him as my first running back coach was the best thing possible because he taught us in concepts. And when I say concepts, I mean like a simple concept. You got somebody going out, you don't have somebody coming in. Regardless what the terminology is, that's the concept. It can be X arrow, it can be Y shaft, whatever. You got somebody going out, you got somebody coming in. So understanding like concepts and diamond formations and stuff like that, meaning like as far as routes, you can pick up on where you want to go. Even if you have no idea what a play is and you see uh, from a running back perspective, you either gonna have a flat, a swing, or a stop route because it's the triangle. And I just went from there. You know what I mean? And slowly the terminology came. And so when I went to Pittsburgh, like I picked up the playbook. Simple. It was I won't say it was simple, but the terminology was a little bit different, but the same at the same time. The place was the same, terminology was different. Once I got that point, it was easy. And then when I went to Indy, BA was used to be the offensive coordinator in Indy. I guess I'm assuming they were still doing some of the same stuff over there. So it was just like it was English and broken English for me. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So when I went to Indy, I kind of picked up the plays fast. I mean, I think I had to make an adjustment for like some protection calls. But other than that, like the plays were similar, or the details of the plays and stuff was similar. So it wasn't really like a big adjustment. I think one of the big things that slow people down is like the terminology. Uh, they associate, on which rightfully you're supposed to do, but they associate their plays, their responsibility with the terminology. If you associate your responsibility with the concept of the play, uh, if you go to any playbook in America, Optimist, college, high school, pros, they're going to have two slants, they're going to have two flats. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Concept. So, like, it's not really reinventing the wheel, it's the terminology. They're going to name it like 20,000 different things, but it's the same. So you understand like the root, the concept, and just picking up the terminology from there is easy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point, and shout out to Coach Kroom for putting that all together and helping guys like you sort of think that way and have success in the NFL. So along those lines of having a influential coach that can help you get this together so that you can be a good pro. I mean, we've already just named them, but between the Hall of Fame players that you've played alongside of, the great coaches, whether it's positional or Hall of Fame caliber head coaches, and Dungy, Cower, do you see common traits amongst them? Everyone has their own personality, right? And there's different styles, but are there personality traits that you've seen in these guys that you looking back maybe can see why they made it, or maybe you even took pieces from them while you were playing to elevate your level?
they wasn't screamers. They was firm, stern, but they weren't like screamers. You have some coaches that just MF you for no reason. But Dungy, even Mike T, Coach Coward, uh, Coach Coker wasn't a screamer. Coach Davis was a screamer though, but he rightfully so, like because he had the Coach Harrison kids ahead, and you had to cuss at them to get them moving. But yeah, they weren't screamers. You know what I mean? They was more like it was player coaches. It was laid back. It was guys that get you to play for them. You have a saying sometimes, well, I want to motivate you so much that you're gonna run through a wall. And those are the type of guys that I was, fortunate to be coached by, that make you go the extra distance, that give you that extra 10 seconds or whatnot. So
Yeah. And to take this one last step further, you've been on great teams, a lot of good NFL teams, obviously the '01 team at Miami. Do you see any common traits amongst the teams? Is it the guys themselves just having that leadership quality, or is there anything else you can point to?
uh, I don't want to necessarily say leadership quality, because when you say leadership, you seem to choke in like one particular person or two particular people. I know in college, we didn't have like one leader. We had like 10 of them, and it was easier for us because we was always on the same page, and that page was like work hard. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, we working hard and we doing it together. So when we go out to clubs, we club together. when uh when we fought, we all fought together. You know what I mean? When we worked out, depending on your schedule, we all worked out together, and we motivated each other and pushed each other. So it was really simple. You hear sayings like, "Hey, work hard in practice, so it make the games easier." That was something that we did so much that sometimes we played games that felt like a walkthrough. And I think it was a couple articles where you had you have Reggie Wayne going against like Mike Rumpel, Philly Buchanan, best at their position, the Ed Reed. You have myself and Clint and Willis going against DJ Williams, Jonathan Vilga, Dan Morgan. You had O-line Brian McKinney going against Damian Lewis, or the defensive end Jamal. We had the iron sharpen iron type mentality. So if you were slipping, or if all 11 didn't come to play, it was going to be a massacre out there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it went down.
Yeah, and you know what? Sorry, go on.
When I got in the NFL, it was a little different because they tried to make people leaders. I felt they tried to make people leaders instead of letting them, lead by example. Like, you just can't get that mantle away. You got to earn that. Leaders are earned. You know what I mean? Just don't. Hey, I think you should be the leader of this group. You got to earn all that. And when you earn it from your fellow teammates or whatever, then you can say something. They'll play for you. They'll give it their all for you. They'll go a little bit harder for you. And that's the respect level. I mean, that's just what I think.
Well, I always found it really irritating where, it's that terrible time in the spring and late winter where there's just nothing really going on in sports. And, if you put on Sports Center, you'll see so-and-so player is going to take more of a leadership role this season for, X team. And it's just like, if you're putting it out there that this guy's going to be more of a, like, that's not how it happens. Like, you don't tell the media that you're going to go out and be a leader. Like, it's just who you are and how you carry yourself and how you're interacting with people. So
right.
I completely agree. And just, the media just sort of makes it worse. But yeah, Najeh, as we get to the end here, we've kind of talked about this without directly talking about it, whether it was your knee back in 99. I mean, I have a list here. Broken eye socket, your hamstring, broken ribs, broken ankle. You, my friend, have had to overcome a lot of injuries, and you did repeatedly. Is there any advice that you would give to any young athlete or even an NFL player who, how do you cope with that? How do you continue to push through and build back? And, if another one happens, to not get yourself down and just continue to work?
Fortunately, like, my first surgery was like my knee surgery, and it was bad. I was out for a season, and I can remember getting a phone call from Michael Irvin and Alonzo Highsmith. I don't know if one of the coaches, Coach Bain, told them to give me a call or something, but they gave me, because I'm talking about in the just down Debbie Downer. It was over with. I didn't want to go to class. I was moping everywhere because I just thought that it was over with. You know what I mean? Like, I had really, the year before when EJ got drafted, just really got excited about playing football past college. I had always been told, man, you go to get scholarship and you go blah, blah, blah. And that was just going to school. I never really looked at it for the NFL. And I know it sounds crazy, but like, it was like the next 200 yards. You know what I mean? So I never really looked past that. It was just, going to college, getting a degree, teach, what have you. But I can remember, like, they phone calls and, telling me to, hey, this is what you got to do. That's what you got to do. This is what's going to happen, X, Y, Z or whatever. And I'll never forget, Alonzo said, if when you get better and you pick up on your blocking, I'm gonna draft you. All right, Alonzo. All right. So I don't know. I guess he had just got the job with Green Bay for a scout or something like that. And the, that next week, I started. Her name was Danielle. I can't find her. I tried to find her a couple times, but we call her Baby D. She was a trainer at UM for a long time. Then she left and went to the train with the Miami Soul. But it was me and her like 3 days a week. I mean, 3 times a day. But we get there in the morning. We'll do some prehab, some rehab stuff. At lunchtime, we'll come back and we'll do the stairs. And in the afternoon, we'll do the swimming. We do work in the pool. And I did that with her 3 days, 3 times a day for like, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks. And by the third week, I was jogging. You know, my leg was strong. There wasn't no swelling coming back. And that kind of been like my mentality. Like the workout part. And I didn't want to wear the brace. I thought I was cool. And then we get into the season. And them first couple games, I remember like watching the game. Like I wasn't, I was physically ready. I wasn't mentally ready. And I would be running, and I could see a guy coming to me, and all I could think about in Ohio State, if I would have jumped, I wouldn't have got hurt. So he can be like 2 or 3 yards away from me. I'm jumping in the middle of the air. And that's how watching the game was like an eye opener for me. You know, I hadn't, even though I was healed, I hadn't fully let it go. And because I hadn't let it go, it was affecting my performance. So my advice to anybody who's going through, a major injury that's in college or in pros or even high school, as soon as you get medically cleared, that you running, you cutting, and you planting, and you've been explosive, and you can put pressure on it. As soon as you get physically and medically clear, let it go. Right? Don't think about getting hurt again. Don't think about if I would have did this. Just run as hard as you can, play as fast as you can, because at the end of the day, your mind is a powerful weapon. And the minute just you say that you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. And for me, I didn't I didn't get back right until like my senior year, and then by then it was over with. You know what I mean? Like I didn't let it. I physically didn't let it go until like the end of my junior year, beginning of my senior year. I was just I'm on. It happened. It happened. But if I would have let it go before watching the game, or yeah, right before watching the game, and just play like I needed to, I wouldn't have the issues. It might be a whole different story. But because I, just played, protecting it, that became an issue.
Got it. Well, very good advice for any young athletes out there. And, Najeh, as I wrap this up with you, I just, we spent a lot of time talking about the past. Let's just talk about the present, man. I just recently saw that your son, Bryn, is starting to tear it up a little bit, playing football on his own right. What's going on in your day now, in your life now, the day-to-day? Anything besides cultivating the next big football star?
Nah, it's a little weird because I didn't want to push anything on him, and he always wanted to play catch. I don't care what type of ball it is, object. He just wanted to play catch. That's his whole big thing. And so we started in the backyard. I got footage when he's like 2, and I toss him. I call it like 28 toss, and I'm tossing him the ball, and he's catching it, and he's running it, or and I'm just trying to like slow by slow get him get the terminology down for him, and all of a sudden he just started just doing stuff imitating stuff. And the funny thing is, like, I can show him. I got like a 20-minute highlight tape from high school to college and the league, and he can get through maybe like 4 minutes of it before he start in something else. So I just never thought that he would, get into it. But those guys kind of like they gravitate to, people on YouTube. I'm like, well, son, I'm on YouTube. So I think I was feeling better. Sometimes my back get tight, my knees hurt, whatever. So I was feeling good. So I was trying to show him how to do like a spin move, and so I get out there and I got like a little dummy, and I was, hey, this is what you got to do, blah blah blah, and I think we worked on it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, and he gets in the game and he just starts spinning everywhere. You know what I mean? And he was spinning, breaking tackles, making people miss. And after the game, I was like, well, you glad I taught you that, huh? He said, you didn't teach me that, Daddy. Hey, what you mean? I learned that from OBJ. Oh, really?
Oh, man.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's too funny. And I saw that you would put a video of him working on the spin on Instagram, and just as a fan to see, Clinton Portis putting stuff on your commenting on it, saying, "Man, don't watch your dad's film. You got to be watching Duke Johnson or."
Yeah, that's Clinton twisted version of a spin move. Yeah. So that spin looked good. I liked it, man. It's funny because I see people out, I see all the kids like, hey man, I saw your son on Footballville or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I used to play football too, you know what I mean? It was one of those things. So
we'll have to send them the YouTube links so that they can get up to speed real quick on you.
Right. Somebody gonna watch it.
Awesome. Well, Jay, can't thank you enough for taking the time, man. It was really cool to sort of walk through your playing days, what you're doing now, and some great advice that was in there. As we wrap it up, is there any last message you'd like to put out there?
Like some of the stuff that I said, you can check it on YouTube. It's called The You Reloaded. It's a documentary that I produced like in 2013, 14. And it got a lot of people from my class, the Deuce 1 class and the 2G class, that kind of changing of the guard from Miami, from being that 5 and 6 team into that national championship team. So if you haven't checked it out, a lot of guys haven't checked it out, that might be a good place to start for some insight into what makes a great team. Not a good team, but a great one.
For sure. And we'll definitely put that up there when we release this. Very cool. Well, thanks again, man, for taking the time. It was awesome.
No problem. Have a good one.